So moving on, our next keynote speaker is someone who is passionate about two things. One, building organizations with great culture, and other is bringing new innovative offerings to the clients and the organizations that have legacy of customer connect. Started his career as a tech lead in early 90s and then climbed the corporate ladder to become the senior manager at KPIT Cummins, delivery unit head at Tech Mahindra, vice president at Amdocs, and currently managing director at ThoughtWorks. Looking at his LinkedIn profile makes me realize that he is someone who knows the word technology for the much longer time than most of us sitting here. Please put your hands together to welcome the passionate and visionary leader, Mr. Sameer Soman.
Thank you. The other way he could have introduced me is none of what I know is useful to any of you. So I started my career in 90s. My world was all moving from mainframes to Microsoft, and Unix was the big thing in those days. So that's the world I know of. In ThoughtWorks, we say you are a technologist if your code that you wrote went live in last 1 or 2 months. And for me, it has been more than 15 years. So I'm not a technologist at all, first of all. I've never run a startup. I've never been associated with a startup that closely. So when Ayush first called me, so I was like, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I felt an odd man out, and I still feel like an odd man out. So I don't know if I have anything to really share that you guys can learn from. Lot of my experience, though, is about working and building something for small, medium, and large enterprises. So I'm going to talk from that perspective, with the hope and touch wood that most of you startup guys will become mid, large enterprises in short time span. Yeah. So take it with pinch of salt, whatever I say. I was first of all going to talk about the keen observation that I have been seeing in all the companies, all the large enterprises. And that is about really what happens and how technology can be leveraged to build some great insights. And when I came here, or when I got the invite from Ayush, I realized that next speaker is going to talk specifically about that. So I'm not going to do that anymore. So this is also a little bit impromptu, similar to Praveen. I don't talk much. I talk internally. I talk to my management teams, and that's very different. You can use all the 3-letter acronyms and internal language to convey your ideas. Anyway, so that's enough about the disclaimers. So let me get into the only one thing that I wanted to share. My observation, and this goes back to my early days of starting in technology, is not really about who wins in long run, is not really about being a great product on day one. It's usually about what happens to the product after you launch it. I mean, all my experiences, Microsoft used to always release a buggy product. I don't know about AWS. But those of you who know about any other Microsoft products, Windows, PowerPoint, Office, any of those products, right? Microsoft Project, I used to always say their first version is absolutely buggy, useless. It will, and that's where the whole concept of reboot started. That hey, it usually works if you reboot your machine again, and then. But Microsoft is one of the company I believe is winning based on the products that they built, and is winning big time for last several number of years. So really, long story short, is what happens to the product after it is built, is what, and after it goes live, is what determines the success. I don't need to tell that part to all of you. You all know that. In fact, in these days, you have a concept of MVP. The product goes out the quickest that it can. But my observation is where at least larger companies are not leveraging technology is in determining what happens after they go live. And technology has advanced. I think you can do a lot by using those tech tools to really help you in that journey after the product has gone live. Akash talked about knowing your customer very keenly, and I think that becomes even more important after your product is live. So two things, I think, what differentiates products that stay and continue winning versus products that go away, in my observation again. Those two things, first of all, first one is a simple one, product evolution, really speaking. And that must be very natural to all of you, but I think that's where really thinking about product, all of you are product managers, or you have a product manager working for you. But thinking about product and its features, reducing friction, looking at competition, really what happens to your product is as important as everything else that you do with marketing, with pitching it to the right customers, trying to make a sale, make sure you introduce a feature that is important for your important customer. All of those things are important, but I do think what happens to your product so product management becomes even more crucial. Experience and product experience, I mean the user experience, becomes crucial. Second part, I think, so first one is obvious, but I hope, but I've seen so many people not staying focused on it. That's why I wanted to mention it. Second part is relatively less obvious. I do think, I call it future sensing, and in the product context. So, and in both of these cases, actually, there are tools that can help you really give great insights. Future sensing is all about really what happens to your environment around you, right? Changing regulatory environments, changing consumer behaviors. Because of the change in the consumer behavior, you should really ideally either introduce that behavior back into your product. In fact, make advantage of it, be the first one to accommodate that changing consumer behavior to reduce friction, and not really think that that's the reason, not the victim mindset, right? Some obvious things, but this is where I think future sensing is where lot of the products trip, in my opinion, or at least in my observation, not opinion, I have not, but observation. Changing regulatory environments, changing what's happening to the world right now, economy going up and down. What can you do? Are these all only art elements? I was talking to, and we were discussing about art and science balance in everything that we do. And they appear to be art elements, but they are not art elements really. In today's world, technology can actually help you. Easier things to think about is how analytics can tell me whether my users are really clicking the submit button or buy button, etc., right? Or they are not completing their journey and walking out in the middle of their journey, right? I mean, all digital products, I hope you all have that type of simplistic analytics built in any which way. But there are analytics that can actually tell you a lot more than this, and tools that can tell you a lot more than this. As a founder, Ayush's book is all about what technology you need to care about, and I think wonderfully written. After you go live, I think that's when looking into the build phase of your product or evolution phase of your product from a technology lens becomes even more important, in my opinion. That's when you need to care about what is the build failure rate, what is the lead time. Lead time is essentially, in my opinion, a new feature that is going to generate revenue. What is the time from concept to getting that feature onto your product, right? And these are not very hard things to do, and really making sure that you generate first dollar from that feature. And there are tools that will actually tell you where, if at all you are tripping on this journey, where are you failing on this journey? So technology is not just important for building the tool. In my opinion, it is even more important for evolving the product that you are building. So anyway, so that's my quick advice, if I would. And Praveen was asking for advices to everyone. So it's hard, actually. I mean, if you put people on spot, it's very hard to give advice that is meaningful. So so all of you guys did well. Once again, congratulations, Ayush. And As I said, I'm here to learn and listen more than talk. So my talk element is done. If you want to have, I wanted to originally talk about some tool aspects, by the way, and the technology aspects that can help you bridge this journey of what happens to your product after it goes live. But I'm not going to do that because I won't do as good a job as Insightly can. So hoping to listen more from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.